Evening, everybody. This is just a quick sound test. Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Skunkworks. Fantastic to have you here again today. We've got a few people online. DC is online, so welcome, David. Good to see you again. So you say it's hot and steamy over in Missouri. Couldn't be more different over here in the UK. It is cold and rainy. Who else we've got in the chat? We've got Jeff in the chat. Welcome, Jeff. Jeff from Belgium. And we've got Tony in the chat. Welcome, Tony. So welcome, guys. And yeah, so where are we with the Skunkworks? Well, last week I put out a call for collaborators, a call for help. And thank you so much to people who responded. I think at the moment, all of the people in the chat responded to my call for help. So we've got a little email group and we're throwing around ideas for how to push this series forward, throw around some coding concepts. I'm super impressed with the standard of coding in there. You know, it's beyond my standard, certainly some of it anyway. And thank you to the people. You know, I won't embarrass you and name you, but I think we're going to make some progress. Now, for this week, I'm going to take the existing idea. And for the past 2 or 3 videos, I've been conceptualizing a new idea. I'm going to push that forward a bit this week, but I'm not saying that's necessarily the best way to do this. But I do want to push through this idea so that we can see, you know, if the idea works or not, because we've been kind of conceptualizing it for a while. So I'm going to push my idea for the piece moves forward. But in future streams, I think we're definitely going to have a look at some other ideas, some other more powerful and efficient ideas. Anyway, if you want to join our little collaboration team, then email me info@tigersolutions.co.uk or get in touch via the website contact page. I'll add you to our little email collaboration group, and you know, who knows what's going to happen in the future. We're collaborating on the chess series now, but I'm looking to, you know, grow our community and grow my little company. So if you want to get more involved, this is the way to do it. And you know, you don't have to be a super accomplished coder. There's some very accomplished coders on the email list at the moment, but you don't have to be. If you want to help in some other way, you know, I'm doing content, video production, video editing. If you want to get involved and help, you know, I certainly want to start pushing this forward and building it, then let me know, shoot me an email. I'll put you on this email list. So with that said, let's get into the file. And the file, as always, is available for download on the website. If you go to the Tiger Spreadsheet Solutions website, go to videos and articles there, and it's called the Spreadsheet Skunkworks Chess Challenge. All of the videos are stacked up there. You can download the files from any of the videos. A quick way to that article is to go to the previous Spreadsheet Skunkworks video on this channel, the previous Spreadsheet Skunkworks video, and there'll be a link to the download files in that. So if you want to download the files, you can do that. Let's get the VBA editor open. I don't think, no, I'm not properly prepared. Terrible. Haven't got the windows sized up properly. So let's quickly do that now. And this looks reasonable enough. I don't think we're going to be working with any new modules or the properties window today. So let's close that down a little bit. Okay, so this is our existing code. I'm looking to make some small improvements today. So this whole chunk of code here is new. This is what we're currently testing. This code is working with a table on the engine sheet, and you can see I've cheated a little bit. I've already done a little bit of preparation for today, but I'll take you through that. And there's a table here and the table here. So these tables are working with the code to start moving these pieces. And the particular benefit of this approach is it allows us to cater for blocking pieces. Seems like I've been talking about this for weeks, which I have. I haven't made enough progress recently, but this allows us to cater for blocking pieces. So what have I done since last time? Just made some adjustments to the column widths here. Made some adjustments to the column widths. Let me just find a setup where I can see both my screens here. That's better. And I've also just changed the orientation of the text here. You can do that by going to Home, and then you have options for changing the orientation of the text. So this just allows us to have narrower column widths and still read the column headers there. Then I was looking down the file today and I was thinking, I want to quickly see the Y's, and the no's. And yeah, I didn't want to have to look down and, actually assimilate the text and understand what the different letters are. So I put a conditional formatting rule in here, Alt-HLR on the Windows PC. You can go to New Rule. And I think I went to format only cells that contain, and then cell value equal to Y, and then that's how I put that formatting rule in. So you can see if I now put a Y in here, you can see that we have the formatting changes. So that just allows the Y's to stand out. That's going to save us cognitive load. And remember, programming is, well, my approach to programming is let's minimize the stress, keep the stress levels down, keep the session going. So this conditional formatting is helping us do that. By the way, the conditional formatting rules manager, Alt-HLR on the Windows PC, I've found this really interesting just recently in my practice. Sometimes when a file is inefficient, it can be because there's lots of conditional formatting rules in there that are repeated. So if you go into the conditional formatting rules manager, you can sort all that, delete the duplication. You should only have a few rules, just make sure they're pointing to the right ranges. That's the most efficient way. But when you're copying cells around, if you're copying formats around, you might be, creating lots and lots of conditional formatting rules. So you can step into here periodically and rationalize it all. Let me know in the chat, guys, any questions today, and who else is with us. Nobody else checked in yet. Tony's over in Cardiff, poor guy. It's incredibly wet in the UK at the moment. There's actually some floods in the UK at the moment. It's been raining for about 6 or 7 days and still raining outside as I'm looking. Yeah, I'm David saying, yeah, absolutely. David saying that conditional formatting, basically saying that conditional formatting is one of the drivers of excessive file size. Absolutely. And it's, this is why the conditional formatting rules manager can be helpful for us. So that's Alt-HLR. You can go to Home and conditional formatting and then manage rules down here. Just see that in your screenshot. Okay, so that's the basic setup. That's what we've got in place. And at the moment, I think on the last stream, didn't do much coding in the last stream, but I did a quick demonstration. You can see it's working okay for the rook, but not working for, it is working for the queen because, because I've actually gone ahead and fixed some things in this file. So I'll show you what I've done in the Visual Basic Editor. In fact, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and comment out this line of code, which I put in today, and then comment out this line of code here, which I put in today. Okay. Yeah, so if I run the code now, yeah, we've got the same problem that we had last time. So this is kind of continuing from the previous live stream. So the rook moves look accurate enough, but we've got a problem with these diagonal moves here. So the bishop moves not coming out properly, and the queen moves not coming out properly. Now, that's because when we're going through our loop, we need an additional line of code that I've popped in here. This additional line of code here, that's telling Excel if we're working in a diagonal way, and remember we've got our different move types here, and we've got our diagonal moves here. If we're working in a diagonal way, then we're saying to Excel, well, it's only a possible move if the value of the two variables is the same. That's the absolute value. The absolute value of the two variables is the same. That means we are on a diagonal. All of the other squares where the two variable values are not the same, we want to exclude them. So I can switch this rule back on. So just deleted the annotation there, and now we should see that the queen moves are accurate now, and the bishop moves are accurate too. Let's test this by putting the bishop somewhere else. Here's the bishop, and then click the bishop there. We can see the bishop moves are accurate there. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. And the other thing I just commented out here, let's have a look. Yeah, this little number number of references, this is shorthand for, is a variable at the top here. Now this tells us the number of, this counts up the number of moves, the number of possible moves effectively. And we've got a mechanism here that puts something in the engine to tell us if we're currently in move mode, because we're effectively dealing with two modes here. We've got one mode here where we're don't have possible moves on the board. That means we want to look at possible moves. Now we're in a different mode. We do have possible moves on the board, and now we want to click just to get rid of those possible moves. So that's doing our mode control. So those two things I kind of debugged on the file last week, and that gets us to this position where we are now. Let's just go to setup board. I'm going to save the file, Control S, go to setup board, see if our setup board macro still works. Nice confirmation box, reset, and okay. Interesting. Right, we're going to have to quickly debug this. I think we are. Okay, sheets board.select add to sheet.paste. Right. Okay, why is that not working? Looks like a fairly simple line of code. Okay, interesting. Right, how to debug this one? Well, yeah, I wasn't intending to go down this route, but yeah, we've got to make sure when we're building code, we've got to make sure that the existing functions still work. So I'm wondering what's wrong there. So why would we get a crash on the why are we getting a crash here on this pasting the shape in? Let me know in the chat if you've got any ideas. What else happened in the chat? Tony's saying, yeah, could you have that added that to your why is Excel so big video? Yeah, absolutely, Tony. Yep, all of the videos are just kind of the main ideas I have in mind at any particular time. You know, they're not exhaustive. That's for a lot of reasons. One reason being like to keep the video length reasonably short. But yeah, absolutely, that's another driver of file size, which is conditional formatting. So I did a live stream a couple of months ago now, I think, which is called "Why is your Excel file so big?" You can find that on the Tiger Spreadsheet Solutions YouTube channel, not on this YouTube channel. But there's, yeah, if you've got a big Excel file, cumbersome, difficult to work with, what are the main drivers of file size and how can we control that? Okay, so I'm looking at this code, trying to understand what's going on. I'm thinking the name of the sheet is fine, and then we're pasting in there. Okay. Okay, I'm going to step through this code, try to understand what's going on. Okay, Alt HFDO, Alt HFDO allows us to select objects. So I'm just clicking and holding and selecting, covering those shapes there, deleting those. So nothing on the board now. Let's go over to the other side of the screen. Okay, what happens when I hit setup board now? Expecting the same error, reset. Okay, now it worked. Not sure why that is then. Not sure why that was. Is it because let's go setup board again, reset, yes. Okay, not absolutely sure why that was. Maybe, well, no, the active sheet must have been fine because we can only trigger the macro from there. Anyway, that's something we'll have to come back to later and test. Okay, so what pieces are working now? The queen's working, bishop's working, and the rook is working. So what about could we get this knight working, and could we get the pawns working here? Okay, brings our own challenges, or maybe we'll go for the king. Okay. A king move, right. So I'm thinking of how to scale up the existing mechanism here. The king move should be fairly straightforward. But the king's going to go in any direction, just only one. Okay. So I'm thinking, is it worth having additional? Yeah, David says ghost in the machine. Yeah, it looks like it, David. Could be a ghost in the machine there. That's the reason why the macro wasn't working. So we could put the king moves in here. But that means we're going to have, it seems like we're going to have another 8 lines here. Seems like a lot of lines. Could we just use the existing lines and then okay, shape text K, and then maybe we could go into the code and it's got to get back to the position pieces, move process, position pieces. Maybe in the code we could say okay. Okay, so can we exit this loop? Yeah, could we exit this loop? Let's try this. Let's call end. Call start to call end. Okay, let's try this. Okay. Right, so if this is a king, now how are we going to identify that it's a king here? We can do that by the text. Okay, yeah, we can just say if there's a K in there. Let's see if we can get this working. If there's a K in there. So I'm looking for the code here to take the text, which is here. I do think this is verbose. Can we just say shape name.text maybe? Maybe there's a more efficient way. Maybe somebody in the chat could help me. I think this line of text is long. I think there's a shorter way to express this. Let me know in the chat. But what I'm wondering is, so if this is a king, so now we're going to say application.caller, have we? Yeah. So take this code. So we want to say here we are, we want to say the shape that called this macro. So if the text in the shape that calls this macro is a K, okay. Okay, and then col counts col end. Okay, this is my idea anyway. So because this is, sorry you can't see that, I'll head over to the other side of the screen there. Jeff says dot caption. Okay, let's see if we can get that working then, Jeff. Okay, so you saying, Jeff, if I take all this out and just say dot caption, you're saying that's going to work? Okay, Jeff, I'm gonna test this out now. Let's go to the old routines module. Say sub. I'm going to say Jeff test here. So Jeff, your name's going down in history. Let's say active sheet dot shapes. And let's just take any shape, B rook 1. B rook 1 dot caption equals, say the same thing. This is the active sheet. Back to the VBA editor. Okay, F5. Excel didn't like that. Excel didn't like that one, Jeff. Yep. Freddie, welcome. Freddie's just in. Freddie, welcome. Good to see you. Welcome to the chat. What happens if we just say dot text here? Okay. Anyway, can somebody get on Google? So maybe Jeff, Dave, somebody get on Google and find. I know there's a more concise way to articulate this. Anyway, I'm going to delete that code for now. What did David say? David said, yeah, you could also trim the length by assigning the shape to a variable, so you don't have to use application.caller. Yep, that is true. Definitely true. I suppose I'm concerned that we've got so many variables here. Got quite a few variables, so I suppose if I can handle a bit of extra text, I'm happy to take a bit of extra text, because just to limit the number of variables a bit. So then call count. Okay. So what I'm looking to do is exit the loop. If this is a king, then we're going to exit the loop if the value of one of the variables, remember we've got a variable counting the rows, a variable counting the columns. Remember, we're counting away from the piece. So if the value of the absolute value of the variable, so in other words, if the variable is 1 or -1, then we're going to exit the loop by making the value of the counting variable, col count, equal to the exit condition, equal to the value of the col end variable. This is what I have in mind anyway. This is what I have in mind. And then we'd have to have the same condition here for the row variable. Okay. So now we're with row counts, and then row counts equals row end. So what do we think about this logic? What do people in the chat think about this logic? No call. I have to click the piece. David says, oh, never mind. Okay. Okay, good stuff. Has anybody in the chat got me this shortened code for getting the text from a shape? I know there's a way to do that. So let me know in the chats if anybody can get in Google and find that for me. Right. So what we're looking to do is, I mean, this is an example of where good indentation is so helpful. You know, I needed to quickly find the end of this loop, because just before we get to the end of the loop, I want to try to make us exit the loop if we're working with the king here, and the same with the row variable. So yeah, just an illustration of how helpful the proper indentation is, and some helpful annotations there too. Okay, so let's go to the engine sheet and let's switch the king. Let's switch the king functionality on. And I'm going to go for the white king here. So we want the up, down, left, right functionality on. No, that's the knight, Control Z. And the king is here. Yep, so yes, 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 yes for the white king. Same for the black king, which is just outside your screenshots. Black king, yes, yes, yes. Okay. So first, actually, I'm going to go to the code. I'm just going to comment out what I've done here. Comment out the new code. So now I'm expecting the king to behave, well, it's going to behave like a rook, isn't it? Because it's got the up, down, left, right moves. So that's what we're expecting to happen first. For the king to behave like a rook is what we're looking for here. So there we go. Yeah, we've got the rook moves there. Okay. So now let's turn this code back on. And let's see just how far away we are from having a workable solution here. Control S, save the file. Okay, and the king. Call dot caption. Because we're still got dot caption there. Google Kung Fu seems always to steer towards text box. Dot characters dot text. Yeah, it just seems a bit verbose. It seems a bit long for what is, you know, it seems to be a fairly kind of routine thing. I've got text frames dot characters dot text. I'm going to take this one, DC, because it's working on my system. And then let's pop it back in here. Instead of a dot caption. We're in there. Okay, and then did we lose it off the clipboard there? No. Okay, that's better. Whoops. Okay, Control S, save the file. Okay, king. Not far away, king. Not far away, good. Yeah, so that seems to have worked well. Let's put the king in the middle of the board here. Okay, good. King over here. Okay, nice. If I click the king again, does it put us back into the other mode? Yep, seems to be working well. Can I set up the board now? Reset to bring the king home. Yes, working. So it looks like the ghost has been exercised, David, from the machine. Seems to be working well. What I did with getting pieces names, Freddie says, is that I assign those names on the engine sheet by saying range equals application.caller, and then pick up those names from the engine sheet when needed. Yeah, I think that's a good approach, Freddie. So you're saying it's all about different ways to store information. And currently I've got a fairly long line of code in the VBA editor just here. So DC is saying we could assign that to a variable. Yeah, that means we could just use a variable name. That's going to save us typing, definitely. Another way to store information is to input it into a cell on the spreadsheet. And Freddie is saying, Yep, I've used a cell on the engine sheet to store the name of the active piece. So I think this is great. You know, this is what the Skunkworks is all about. Different ways of doing the same thing. And what I would say to people is all of those approaches have advantages and disadvantages. You know, the slickest approach is probably to use a variable. But if we're using a variable, then the information isn't as readily available. You know, a variable is not as transparent as using a cell in the spreadsheet. Using a cell in the spreadsheet like Freddie has to store that information means we can see the information, we can understand the value that's being stored easily, but it's not as efficient because Excel's got to take the value and put it into the spreadsheet, which is less efficient than putting the value into a variable. So there's always pros and cons, and different things work in different ways. Maybe at some point I'll take one of those approaches though. Yes, Tony, you're absolutely right. The diagonal moves not showing yet. So hopefully I can just come over to our little moves table here, and then let's just put a freeze panes on this quickly. Alt WFF on the Windows PC, and here we go. So for the white king is here. Just take these across, Control C, Control V. So you can see I'm now enabling the diagonal moves here for the king. And then the black king here, Control V again. So that's just outside of your screenshot, the black king down here. Okay. So now the diagonals are enabled for the king, Control S, save the file. Now what have we got here? Okay, we've got the king moves there, that's good. King moves here, that's good. Let's move the king somewhere else. King looking very vulnerable here. Real chess players will be shocked by this position. Is this position even possible in chess? I don't think it would be, because the king wouldn't be able to get out from behind his pawns, would he? But the king's there. One thing I have noticed there is the king's own square is highlighted. So that's probably not desirable. That doesn't happen with the rook, but does happen with the king. Interesting. Does it happen with the queen? Doesn't happen with the queen. Or maybe the square isn't highlighted, it's just the other squares around it are highlighted. So maybe we don't have to worry about that. Anyway, don't want to get too lost in the detail. So we'll see if we can move on now. Okay, so that's the king sorted. Right, so rook sorted, bishop sorted, king sorted, queen sorted. So how about the knight? Shall we have a go at the knight today? And I think the knight, the knight is going to need, let's take these freeze panes off, Alt WFF, Windows shortcut. Let's take the knight and let's have the knight moves down here. Paul, welcome. Have you said anything in the chat tonight? I'm not sure. Welcome, Paul. Good to have you here. Use the queen instead of rook moves. Okay, Paul. Not absolutely sure what you mean there, but let me know. Good. Yeah, so we'll have a look at the knight moves. So if we can configure the moves here, is that easily done? And how many knight moves are there? Oh, there's quite a few knight moves, right? Okay, well, luckily I thought this might come in handy, but this is on sheet 1 in the file, the third sheet in the file. The name of the sheet is sheet 1. We have here the kind of logic of the knight moves in terms of the rows and the columns. Okay, so the question is, right. Is there an easy way for us to do this without having lots of additional lines in this table? I'm not sure. Got the start point here and the end point and then the step. Okay. Is this mechanism even going to work for knights? Maybe it should be a separate mechanism for nights. Okay. Okay, maybe we'll skip the nights for now. And we'll move on to the pawns. Okay, pawn move. So the pawn's going to go up or down. Okay. So for example, the white pawns can only go up, but then they can go diagonally if they're capturing. Okay. Let's just see if we can put these up moves in for the pawns. So my idea is to just, say that they can move up like that, but then to put a limit on it, controlling those variables, put a kind of limit on it like we did with the king. So the same kind of concept, Control-Alt-V. Okay, what's happened there? There we go. Okay, seems accurate. Yeah, DC's got in with the logic here. I thought there'd be some sweet, succinct logic. And Dave said, yeah, knight will be abs row offset equals 2 and abs col offset equals 1 or vice versa. Okay. Yes, that's right, isn't it? Yeah, because... all the combinations, there's a 1 and a 2. So it's either, all the different combinations. So the positive and negative combinations of 1 and 2. I know that doesn't make sense or making sense in my head. That would, okay. Okay, so, so we could make that work. Okay. By using, could actually make that work by using those diagonals, couldn't we? Let me see. This is a bit experimental. Let me know, David, if I know you've got your own approach, which I think is slicker than my approach. But let me know if there's an easy way to do this using the existing mechanism here. My idea would be, okay. You have to take these 4 to enable them for the knight. Okay, because these diagonal moves, if you switch on one of the diagonals, say diagonal upright, is going to cater for all these squares. It loops through all of these squares, just like diagonal down right will loop through all of these squares. So we could switch that on for the knight. Okay. What I'll do is I'll just let's just switch off those pawn things I was going to do, and let's go for the knight here. Yeah, Freddie says, to be honest, knight moves might be very tricky with your approach. Might be simply just to hard code those 8 moves somewhere in an engine sheet. Yes, yeah, I agree, Freddie. Might be simpler to do that, but I'm just wondering if there's some kind of workaround here. So for the knights. And where are the knights? Okay, we've got knight here. Okay, white knight. So I'm wondering if we just switch on the diagonals here. There we go. So I've noticed if you just copy values, it doesn't take the conditional formatting doesn't seem to kick in if you just copy the values. Has anybody else noticed that? Let's go black knight 1 there, black knight 2 there, and I missed one of the white knights. This is the other white knight there. There we go. So, okay, yeah, this might be a tricky one, and it might be one we kind of rein back on in about 10 minutes. let's see. So, okay, so it's the same kind of logic that we applied to the king. So we want to say possible moves, give piece location, test concept. Okay. So we want to say, okay. So I'm going to recycle this line of code here. I'm trying to get as much code as possible in the coding window. It's always quite difficult, and I actually redid the whole setup just before the stream today because we lost it during Saturday's live stream, unfortunately. Who was there for Saturday's live stream, by the way? Let me know. I know some of you were there, but let me know what you thought about Saturday's live stream. Yeah, the move type it's going to take that, isn't it? Okay. Okay. Okay, maybe this would work. Okay, let's say knight up left. So I'm back down in this table here now. Yeah, knight up left, knight up right. Knight down left and knight down right. Okay. Okay, let's have a look then. -2, -2, -2, 2, 2, -2, 2 and 2. And then, how's this going to work then? Oh no, yep. So those should all be across there, I think. Yep, and these should all be -1s. Okay. Okay, is that accurate? I think that's accurate. And then these, we can take these down. Okay, then this can be a knight move. So I'm going to say K, let's say K and I. Just keep the length of the string the same, Control D. Okay. Yeah. Okay, DC said, enjoyed the Saturday stream. Usually not around, but was able to tune in on my phone. Good stuff, DC. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's a big question for me and for Steve. You know, we're the main people involved with the channel is, you know, what kind of content's best? What's the best mix of content? You know, in the past year, I've tried lots of different things. You know, some successes, some failures, but definitely moving things forward. You know, the best way to move things forward is trying some new things. And so it's good to get your feedback, and that's led to this channel. That's what's created the Spreadsheet Skunkworks channel, you know, doing more live streaming, doing more long videos, and finding that, you know, a lot of people don't like the long videos. And what was happening was YouTube was pushing out our long videos and this kind of live stream to the kind of person who had watched one of our polished presentation type videos, you know, a 6-minute Excel VBA introduction video. And the people who had watched that kind of video weren't expecting the live streams, and they were just clicking off them straight away. which probably, well, one thing is it wasn't doing the channel any good, but it's also just not the best way to get information out to people. And that's really the goal of the channel, you know, to create a little kind of learning community about Excel. So yeah, so we thought the best way to do it would be have a different channel to do the live streaming. So yeah, always good to get feedback on kind of the different stuff that we're doing. Okay. Dave says if row is 2, col has to be 1. If row is 2, col has to be 1. Let's have a look. Because the way I'm visualizing this is having four little squares like this. Okay. Let's see if this works. Or in mathematical terms, the sum of the absolute values of the two equals 3. Yep, that's a good point, Freddie. We could articulate it that way logically. Right, let's see. So it's all working in the table there. So how do we put the code in to get this working? Okay. So my idea is up here, so color cell equals false. So by default, the square is excluded. So we're looking for a reason to include the square here. Or maybe we could exclude the square here. Okay, is n and so Freddie, maybe we'll try yours. Mathematical, the sum of the absolute values of the two equals 3, and abs row counts plus okay, this is my idea anyway. I'm not sure about the logic, but you know, I'm not very good. I don't think I have a very logical mind, to be honest, which sounds ridiculous for a computer programmer. But that kind of little logic problem, I have real trouble kind of articulating it logically. So what I do is I write something down, try something and see what happens, and then fix it until it works, which is a much more kind of intuitive approach. So what we're saying is, yeah, so the logic is, if there's nothing in the cell, then we're going to color the cell. It's a possible move. But if it's a night and the value of the two variables does not, the absolute value of the two variables added up does not equal 3, then we're going to change that variable back to false, which should exclude, if it's a night, should exclude some of those, the squares that we want to exclude. Yeah, and Dave says, yeah, and row count does not equal 0 and col count does not equal 0. I don't think will it equal 0 at any point though, David? I don't think it will. Looking at this table, I don't think it will equal 0 at any point, but maybe it will. Now I'm worrying if, yeah, there's a few things I've got to do now. First, I've got to go back to this table and switch on or switch off. Let's bring this across. So for the night, yep. So sorry you can't see all this in your screenshot, but I'm just going to switch off this night stuff that I had switched on. Okay, and then the night stuff. Here. And this here. Okay, so 4 nights. So 1 night here, that's okay. 1 night here, that's okay. You can't quite see that. 1 night here, that's okay. And 1 night, I missed the night here. That's also okay, right. So we're going to take our new kind of table headers, if you like. So from this table here, then copy these. So night up left, night up right, night down left, night down right. That's okay. Okay, Control C. Control Alt V, and it's going to be E for transpose this time. Transpose those across. Let's take the column widths across. Control Z, Control C, Control Alt V, and W for column widths. Okay, then we're going to take this formatting as well. Control Alt and VT for the formats. That gives us that nice rotated text. Okay, and by default, let's put some ends in here. So Control R, and then down to the bottom here, Control D. Okay, so now I'm going to switch these on for the nights. Can I put some freeze panes on here to make this so that you can see it a bit better? Alt WFF, freeze panes on. In fact, let's go to this view here. This might be a bit better. Yep. And then, so what are we doing here? So nights, why not here? Night there, and night here. Okay. And once you get into your mid-30s, you never quite trust your eyes. So there we go. I'm just hitting Shift and Spacebar just to check these are all lined up. Okay. Now I'm thinking, is this table... How is this table working in VBA? Let's have a look. Yeah. E-moves table. No, that should be fine. Yeah, that should be fine. Okay, so what about this then? Move type counter 1 to 8. Okay, so that 8 is now going to be a 12, I think, because we've got 12 in here. Yep. Okay, so again, that's not a very dynamic mechanism here. Not a particularly dynamic mechanism. And maybe you could think of ways that you could do that using Excel down or something to avoid having to continually change that that parameter there. Dave says it interesting seeing this process. Yeah, I hope it's interesting. Yeah, I think it's important to remember with this series is, I mean, the purpose of the series isn't really to build a chess computer, and I was trying to explain this in the emails we've been having, Dave, with other people as well. But you know, I'm certainly not claiming that this is the most efficient way to do what we're trying to do. But what I am trying to do is to get people, show people how one way you can do VBA code. You know, and on Saturday in the live stream we were talking about meta skills, Excel meta skills. So what are the things you actually need to know to get good at Excel? And this is exactly the kind of thing, you know, working with the VBA editor, aligning the Excel window and the VBA editor so you can see what's going on, stepping through code, working with variables, externalizing the values of variables. You know, online people just want to talk about XLOOKUP. You know what it's like at the moment. If you follow Excel online, everyone's talking about XLOOKUP's going to change this, XLOOKUP's going to change that, it's going to solve everybody's problems. No, it's not. it's not, in my view. What would really help people is kind of paying attention to this kind of fundamental skill, things like working with the VBA editor. That's what I call the meta skills. That's why I call them the meta skills. Right, so let's see what happens here. So, I mean, and now I'll be really surprised if this works, because it's quite an advanced mechanism now. Let's put an annotation in here. Okay, let's say just night moves. Night moves here, Control S, save the file. Let's just hit the night. Okay, that is accurate, which I am surprised about. Surprised we managed to do that. Let's put the night in the middle of the board. Wow. Well, I'm very happy with that, because for me that was a bit speculative. Let's try the black night. Accurate. Black night here. Okay, also accurate. Fantastic. Okay, let's try all 4 nights now. That night looks fine. I'm just right clicking on the shape, by the way. Right clicking on the shape gives us this drag bar, drag handle I think it's called. Accurate. Set up the board. Control S, save the file. This is accurate as well. Brilliant. Wow. Well, that was a team effort. Genuinely a team effort. So thank you to the help in the chat. Like 3 or 4 people helped me then. 3 or 4 people helped me. DC helped me. Freddie helped me. Somebody else chipped in as well. So that's good, and got the feeling that I've made some progress, because certainly for a few weeks I haven't managed to make much progress with it. So that's good. Yeah. Cheers, DC. DC says nice work. Well, it was a team effort. Paul's saying XLOOKUP just a fancy VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP upgrade. Yeah, I have to admit, and this is maybe embarrassing as an Excel YouTuber, I haven't looked at XLOOKUP yet. But there's a reason for that, which is I don't want to enter into the the clamor and all of the hype about it, because it really does get on my nerves when people who should know better, so experienced Excel users, people who are pumping out content on YouTube about Excel, and there's many very good content creators out there in the community, but there are some people in my view who should know better. They want to get the views for their channel by talking about XLOOKUP, and they want to give it the most sensational title to maximize the views, like XLOOKUP is going to change your life or something. I don't think a really experienced practitioner has been around for a while, knows that periodically updates come in and, great, they're powerful functions, but the fundamentals don't change. And if you don't have the meta skills, and go back to Saturday's live stream on the Tiger Spreadsheet Solutions channel, on the Tiger Spreadsheet Solutions channel, they're the most important things, the meta skills. In 20 years' time, Excel will have more features. I don't think there's going to be any game changers in there. There's going to be some cool stuff, but I think I'm still going to be pottering around in the VBA editor, applying my meta skills, working on my meta skills, telling everybody else to do the same. And maybe we'll still be doing the chess challenge as well in 20 years' time. But I'm actually thinking of doing a video, a kind of rebuttal video, saying something like XLOOKUP won't change your life, or XLOOKUP is garbage or something, in order to to get a few views, I suppose, but to put a counter point out there, because there's people who are less experienced with Excel who are thinking, oh, once XLOOKUP comes, it's going to make my life so much easier. Well, it won't really. It will make one little part of your Excel practice easier, but it's not going to change everything. Anyway, so this is the kind of thing that I think about, here in my office. So thanks very much for listening to my ramblings. Tony says, I think we should put parentheses around the conditional statement in the code. Let's have a look. Okay, so around here. after the abs. Oh, okay. Oh, abs row count, abs call count. So are you saying this then, Tony? I think you're saying that. Does that make it a bit more logically sound? I don't know. Well, it seems to be the same. So hopefully that's a marginal improvement, Tony. So thank you, Tony. Paul said, really enjoyed the Saturday stream. Yeah, Paul, brilliant. You know, me and Steve love doing it. And if it was up to me, I'd like to do that every day. I'd like to be able to make a living out of doing that kind of content. And, you know, I'm certainly not complaining. I think it is going in that direction. And there's big plans coming. Although I seem to say that every week. But we do push things forward a bit. You know, every month I think we push things forward a bit. Like this new channel is pushing things forward. Doing a weekly live stream is pushing things forward. You know, 6 months ago, I was scared of doing live streams on my own because it's a big technical challenge. You know, we were 10 minutes late today just because XSplit didn't want to work today. You know, so it's a big technical challenge. So we are moving forward, and it's a bit like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, because not everything works. But I'd really like to, you know, as I said, I'd like to do this every day, do this kind of content every day. It's just working out how to monetize it. Jeff says no need for those brackets. Okay, seems to work either way. So what's coming? I'm going to have two. I mean, the ultimate aim is to have a subscription model to access MBA type education. So an MBA is a business qualification. Lots of people do. Costs between $10,000 and $100,000 maybe. We want to provide an alternative to that. You know, I'm an MBA lecturer myself, and I know plenty of people who are interested in helping offer a subscription model where you pay a small monthly subscription. You get 1 or 2, maybe 3 sessions a week, lectures, practical sessions like this, demonstrations, live streams where you're interacting with people. You know, that's the vision. But it's going to take a while to get there. In order to get there, I'm going to release some paid products, some paid courses. So Spreadsheets for Humans, which some people know about, is I'm going to try to put everything I know about Excel and VBA into a course, which is looking like it's going to be about 100 hours, something like that. Working on that at the moment. So that's going to be available before Christmas, hopefully, to buy. And then we've got another course coming out, which is called Analytics for Managers, which I'm doing with a colleague of mine, which is all of the skills outside of Excel you need to know to be good at Excel, if that makes sense. You know, you can be the best developer in the world, but if you can't interact with a client and scope out a project, that's going to be a real career limiter for you. You know, you can be the best Excel developer in the world, but if you can't align your projects, align your implementation with company strategy, with the direction of the company, that's going to be a big career limiter for you as well. So that's what Analytics for Managers is all about. It's about the Excel, about the analytics stuff, but also about all the skills that project management, understanding strategy, understanding business models, all of those skills that come around, that come with it, that people always underestimate the value of. People always want to know the technical stuff. Actually, the technical stuff doesn't need to be too complex. You know, my skill, you've seen my technical level, you know, today. I'm not particularly fluent, but I know what I need. I've got a good subset, and I've got very good skills outside of that, you know, interacting with people, communicating the benefits, etc., etc. So that's what's coming. So let me know any final questions in the chat, but I should probably wrap it up pretty soon. We've been going for just over an hour now, but I think we've finally made some progress. So what have we got to look at next? Just looking at the board, do this visually. So we've got rook here, working, knight working, bishop working, king working, queen working as well. So we just got to look at the pawns now. And there's a few things to think about with the pawns. So different moves according to the rank. So a pawn for its first move can move 2 squares and can only move 1 square later, and then captures in a different direction. And maybe we can do a bit of conceptualization now. How is that going to work? So perhaps we could just, in the same way, so for pawns, we could just say they move up. So we'd say yes here, pawns move up. And then in the VBA editor, we have a kind of limiter in here. And by limiter, I mean, yeah, this kind of mechanism here. Okay, so we say if the piece is a pawn and the row variable is more than 1, then we're going to exit the loop because the pawn can only move 1 square. So maybe that's what we'll pick up with next time. Try to get the pawns done and then look at limiting the range, which was meant to be the thing that's easier with this approach. So for example, this bishop can't actually move anywhere because it's currently boxed in by its pawns. Yeah, and absolutely right, David. Yeah, so pawns and then intervening pieces. So that's what we'll look at next week. Any more questions in the chat? Can't see any questions in the chat. So who's been with us tonight? Thank you, David. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Freddie. Who else has been with us? Is that everybody? Going back up the chat, Tony, I think I said thank you. Okay, guys, superb. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys, and we'll be back next Tuesday. And as I said, if you want to, if you're not on this developer email group, shoot me an email, info@tigersolutions.co.uk. I'll put you on there, and then yeah, guys, let me know your impressions of this stream today. Of hopefully, I've given a sense of the direction today. Let me know on the emails what you think, and we'll continue that dialogue. Okay, guys, take care. I will see you next week at the latest. See you soon.